can just to tune Asperger's syndrome, what it's like to be a person with Asperger's syndrome in the present moment, here and now. So Jamie, you've already experienced almost what it's like to be a person with Asperger's syndrome here and now in the present moment. There's factors within day-to-day life, factors and feelings experienced by the way people are affected by Asperger's syndrome, including confusion that you can experience when going to a place that's very strange or alien to you, which and worry is another thing that stems from doubt perhaps over how you're going to be affected by your diagnosis in the future, or what your future is going to turn out like. Leads to uncertainty, and ultimately worry leads to fear. And how these particular feelings then constrain you is when you become obsessive about one of these feelings, that you hold on to it through obsessive compulsive tendencies associated with autism and with Asperger's syndrome. And this ultimately leads to anxiety, which is another controlling factor, and tension, and ultimately all these things lead to general low self-esteem. Now, where rigidity that I mentioned a moment ago can come into the life of a person with Asperger's syndrome is through developing comfort zones. Now, to help understand what it's like to be a person with Asperger's syndrome, it does help for people not on the autistic spectrum sometimes to come out of the comfort zone that they're used to. But the person with Asperger's syndrome can also find themselves on autopilot, on automatic pilot, where they have a routine that they feel comfortable in, to the extent that where it's broken, it becomes very stressful or becomes very difficult to cope with. A liking for structure helps with predictability, which helps to reduce a lot of stress and a lot of worry. But sometimes due to unforeseen circumstances, that comfort zone can get a little skiddy or a little bit slippery sometimes. Some examples of where comfort zones or routines that a person with Asperger's syndrome likes but perhaps can't anticipate. Usually it's okay when they can anticipate changes that have to be made to their routine, but if something happens in an unpredictable way, such as a crisis response, e.g. a sudden illness or injury that you can't expect, sudden changes to the timetable, and changes of structure or environment, such as moving house. And life becomes a bit like ice in a glacier is very resistant to pressure from the flow of the glacier. The pressure forces the ice to carve and break off, and it makes a thunderous sound when it does. In this image is the Perito Moreno Glacier in Patagonia, which is one of the most active glaciers of its kind, calves every approximately 40 minutes. And similarly, a person with Asperger's syndrome, from a break in their routine or a break in their structure, can resist pressure to the extent that they crack under pressure and experience anxiety and also panic attacks. The change becomes a trigger for anxiety and for panic attacks. Now to talk a little, before I combine the mindfulness practice with the effects of Asperger's syndrome, a little bit all about the mindfulness practice itself, which is, in 2010 I completed the 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course, which has had quite an impact on my life as it is now, as in how I felt I've been able to apply some of the qualities from this course into different parts of my life, including coping with change. What was very good about the course was the variation within it, a lot of different movements and a lot of different postures to pursue, including postures that are outside your normal comfort zone, including lying on your back sometimes, which is not often a position of comfort for us normally, apart from maybe when we go to bed, but in normal life when we're awake, it's not a position that we normally or naturally assume, or certain stretching movements are also not naturally positions we assume, but it helps you to cope with changes in moving from one posture to another by being with the change from posture to posture, and as well as with the change in posture, with also the change in sensations felt within that posture. And you find from that some things that you might possibly miss out if you feel very comfortable in a routine or feel as though you're stuck on autopilot. So in just a moment, I've got a little exercise open to you to help to tune into the present moment, but to go over the effects of stress and anxiety, some of the signs of stress and anxiety that occur, but we perhaps don't always notice them. And this is where the focus on the present moment helps with noticing such signs, because it helps you to notice earlier where you're becoming stressed or becoming anxious. Something I've found is procrastination over tasks in hand, including, just from an Asperger perspective, having to make phone calls to people for working purposes who I don't know, which is well outside the comfort zone, and not sleeping well because your mind's constrained by a worry or an anxiety. And comfort eating is sometimes another effect of it. Something that I remember when giving a talk for the Mindfulness in Schools programme was that just before I gave the talk, watching BBC Breakfast, there was a news article all about how in recession times where there's a lot of worry and anxiety, people are escaping that through comfort eating, and something, whereas one person's recession was another's business opportunity, was the biscuit industry, with biscuits being a traditional comfort food. And ultimately, when you feel as though you're tired mentally, when you feel as though you've got very little energy left to think almost. I'm going to use one of my favourite interests to show you about tuning Asperger's syndrome to the present moment. This is an image of the Milky Way taken up at Kielder. One of my favourite interests, as I was talking to Michelle and Elaine about last night, was, and one that's quite popular at the moment with the effect of Professor Brian Cox, astronomy. And something that I found on my first meditation retreat was that the purpose of the meditation was to tune me into the present moment. And my meditation retreat was in Powys in Wales, which is a rural part of Wales, so you're away from city lines, and that means less light pollution, so you can see so many more stars in the sky than I can in a normal environment, including a bit of the Milky Way. Now if you've watched stargazing live, you'll no doubt know this, but the stars are up in the sky as they were however many light years away they are. So you're seeing them as they are in the past, here and now. So that reminds you that your past's still with you while you're meditating here and now into the present. I have a little exercise which is just very short. It'll only take 3 minutes, or should only take 3 minutes at most, to help you tune into the present moment, which is the 3-minute breathing space. Very simple exercise to do. You don't have to participate in it, but if you would like to, you can do it either standing up or you can do it or sitting down. You're going to sit down. You need to come to the front of your chair. Come to the edge of your chair, so that you keep your back nice and straight. So it opens up the breathing channels. In the hand position is the right hand on top of the left hand on your lap, or the other way around if you're left-handed, and the thumbs very lightly touching. Okay, once you feel comfortable in the position, you might have to adjust so that you feel comfortable, so that you're not straining to maintain the position. Okay? Just relax.